Hey guys, today we're going to make the perfect macarons. I'm going to show you how to make almond macarons with a cherry ganache, homemade cherry chocolate and fig leaf pectines. So, let's begin. First we're going to make the cherry ganache. For that, mix 500 grams of frozen cherries with 50 grams of sugar. Now cover the pan with a lid and bring this to a simmer on a low heat. By doing this, you will separate the liquids from the solids. Then turn off the heat and let it sit for 30 minutes. After that, let it drain on a fine sieve. I always leave it overnight to ensure you don't waste a single drop. The next day you can spread the drained cherries on a tray. Now dry them completely at 50 degrees Celsius. You need these later for another recipe. Back to the ganache. Pour the cherry broth into the pan and reduce it till you're left with 90 grams. Then transfer 210 grams of white chocolate into a bowl and add the boiling reduced cherry broth. Also add 30 grams of butter, 2 grams of flaky salt and 30 grams of cream. Blend this till smooth and fully emulsified. Then transfer it into a piping bag that's fitted with a round nozzle and keep it out of the fridge for later. Now for the fig leaf pate frit. Pour 250 grams of apple juice into a measuring cup. Then remove the core from some fig leaves. In total you need 50 grams of cleaned leaves. Now add the leaves to the juice and blend it till smooth. It's going to take some time, but the color needs to be dark green for the best result. Then pass the juice through a fine sieve. You need 375 grams. Bring it to a boil. Meanwhile, mix 35 grams of sugar with 10 grams of pectin jaune. Mixing the pectin with the sugar will ensure no lumps will form when you add it to the liquid. Once the juice is boiling, while stirring, add the pectin sugar. Let it boil for 2 minutes. Then add 75 grams of glucose with 230 grams of sugar and heat it up till the temperature is 108 degrees Celsius. Stir it every now and then to prevent it from burning. Now mix 1.5 grams of citric acid with 15 grams of water, and once the pate frit has reached to 108 degrees Celsius, add the citric acid liquid. Mix it well and then bring it to a boil once more. Then add a thin layer of baking spray to a tray and pour the pate frit in there. Make sure it's level and let it set out of the fridge. Meanwhile, mix 100 grams of sugar with 2 grams of citric acid. When the pate frit has set, sprinkle that sugar on top and gently take it out of the tray. Now sprinkle the other side with the sugar as well and then cut it to the desired size. Clean your knife every couple of cuts to ensure you get an even result. Later on we're going to cut it with a round cutter, but I also needed some pate frit to serve on its own. For me this is the perfect size. Now make sure it's covered all around and then it's ready to be used. Now for the macarons. Mix 150 grams of a fine almond powder with 150 grams of icing sugar, a gram of purple coloring powder and 60 grams of egg white. Mix it well till you get an even thick paste. Then cover it and set it aside for later. Now mix 150 grams of sugar with 40 grams of water and heat it up till the temperature is 121 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, pour 55 grams of egg white into a mixing bowl and start beating it when the sugar syrup is 105 degrees Celsius. Once the syrup has the right temperature and the egg whites are fluffy and firm, slowly add the hot sugar syrup to the bowl. Then beat it for 10 minutes till it's at room temperature. Now add a third of the meringue to the almond paste and fold it in. Then add the remaining meringue and gently fold it in as well. Be gentle so you don't overmix the batter. You can also undermix the batter. For macarons, consistency is key. This is the consistency we're looking for. Then transfer it into a piping bag that's fitted with a small round nozzle. After that, pipe your macarons on a silicone sheet that's laying on a metal tray. Leave some space in between the macarons and twist the tip while piping to get an even result. Then directly bake them at 150 degrees Celsius for 16 minutes. If the macarons don't rise, it means that you have overmixed the batter. If the macarons crack open, it means you have undermixed the batter. Now let them cool down on the metal tray. The heat from the tray will ensure you get a beautiful flat bottom. Then gently remove the macarons and keep them dry and covered for later. Now the final recipe is the cherry chocolate. For that we need the dried cherries we made before. First melt 200 grams of cocoa butter on a low heat. Then pour it into a wet grinder and turn it on. Also add 75 grams of sugar, 100 grams of milk powder and 75 grams of the dried cherries. Now let it grind for at least 8 hours. Because the cherries can be quite sticky, I had to grind it for 12 hours. But if you use freeze-dried cherries or powder, it's done much faster. Once the chocolate is completely smooth, you know it's done. Then we need to temper the chocolate. For that, pour 4/5 of the hot chocolate on your worktop, and while moving it with a big palette knife, cool it down till it's 27 degrees Celsius. We temper the chocolate for a shiny finish, a satisfying snap when broken. It prevents the chocolate from easily melting, and the chocolate will shrink slightly. Then transfer the chocolate back into the bowl and mix it well till the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Now pipe a little bit of the chocolate into a slightly curved mold and press the macaron shells in there. I had these custom made by Mold Brothers. Let it set for at least an hour. With the remaining chocolate I made my own chocolate bars. Once the chocolate has set, gently remove the macarons from the mold. Just look at that awesome cherry pattern. Now pipe the ganache on the outside of the macaron and fill the center with the pate frit. Like I said before, I cut it with a small round cutter. Then place a macaron shell with the chocolate on top and press it slightly so they stick together. Now they're ready to be served. I serve them on some toasted kruide cacao. Okay guys, that's it for today. Incredibly happy with the result. The macarons look incredible and I love the cherry chocolate on top. I mean, that is perfection. And if we slice it in half, and don't judge me for cutting on my worktop, but it's an exception. If we slice it in half, you see the ganache with the pectin and the chocolate. I mean, I'll give you guys a closer look. Like I said, that's it for today. So be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss any other of my Friandise specials, and let me know in the comments what you want to see next. And as always, bon appetit.